Oh, man. Oh, preseason basketball. Who watches this shit? Like my wife literally walks in and like, who's watching this shit? Matthew, you and I are watching this shit.
We're watching this
We're
shit.
watching this shit.
We are watching it. And we got some hot takes. I think.
Oh, it's preseason. You got to have like the hottest takes, right? Like none of it matters. At the end of the day, zero of this matters. The only thing that matters is when the regular season starts, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I guess some of it matters. When your players get injured, that matters, right?
That matters. Yes. That's the only thing that matters is if your player's out, gonna be out for a couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, we'll probably not see them for the rest of the preseason, which is unfortunate because again, that's just you like your boy, you like seeing Cam Johnson out there, but everything else
it doesn't matter.
Because it's preseason. I mean, we haven't had a chance to obviously talk about the game against the Australian team, the 36ers, but we'll talk about that on this podcast. We'll talk about the game against the Los Angeles Lakers, which just wrapped up for your Phoenix Suns. First post-game pod of the new year, though, even though, I mean, does this count? Like, does this podcast even count? Because, like, the preseason games don't count. Do our post-game podcasts not count yet?
No, this counts because we're up doing it, and we're staying up late, past my bedtime, right? Or actually, you know what? The new bedtime is midnight. Going forward, so
really,
a little bit of a transition now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it has to be. It's like we're gonna be up till 10:30. Those TNT games till 11:30. So I might as well just be like, hey, I'm going to bed at 12 every night. I'm gonna wake up 5 minutes before work, roll over, and log in. So that's what you do.
Yeah, the fact that you get to work from home now, man, you lucky SOB. Yeah, I think it's daylight savings is always annoying, and I think it's like November 8th this year. Mm-hmm. It's sometime in November, so like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the regular season is always fun because you get games that start at 7 Arizona time and end at like 9:30ish, like this one did. And then we record an hour podcast by 10:30, 10:45. You're in bed. You're snuggling up in your Snuggie, next to your stuffed animals and your blankie, and you're going to bed. But like once November 8th hits, daylight savings hits, and then like for half the year, all those TNT games that start at 8, like we're not done. I'm not kicking it with my Snuggie until 10:45 or 11:45. But you know what? That's the game we play.
It's all worth it.
It's all worth it because we love doing this. So welcome everybody to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, our first post-game podcast of the new season of the 2022-2023 season. I know it doesn't count, but beating the Lakers, you feel better. Like tomorrow I will wake up, I will feel better just because anytime you beat the Lakers, especially with a team that has Pat Bev on it. And I didn't realize they had Dwayne Bacon. They got Dwayne Bacon on their team, man.
Yeah. I didn't realize till right now they have Dwayne Bacon.
Until I told you. He was out there for like the last 8 minutes of the game.
Okay.
But we love bringing it to you. So again, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're watching this. If you're listening to this podcast and you're on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. Click 5 stars, write a review. We'll read it right here on the podcast. Hit thumbs up down in the comments below if you are watching on YouTube. And Matthew, it's the first game of the beer. So what are you drinking tonight? What are you doing to cheers this? I mean, you're not going to bed till midnight now. So I mean,
well, it's not the real game that counts. So I just got the water tonight. I'll pop stuff open for the season. All right, I will.
I will for sure. Bitch. We got 82 games, man. That's 82 beers you got to buy. You
should do that at
the beginning of the season.
It's going to be the CBD. I got to do my research. I get the CBD drinks, man.
So you should get those CBD drinks that I get from one of my vendors. They're fantastic.
I will.
I've got a cranberry long drink. So again, the long drink is something I like. It's that gin drink with natural cranberry face and juniper berries and such. 5.5% alcohol, so I ain't complaining. So pop them if you got them, Suns fans. And let's talk about this preseason, these 2 preseason games, but the Laker game. 119-115, the Phoenix Suns defeat the Los Angeles Lakers, which is a good thing just so the talking heads in the media will shut the fuck up. Because after Sunday's loss to the 36ers, that's all anybody talked about. How it was the first time a team that was in the NBA lost to a non-NBA team in a preseason game since the 2016 season. And it's a reminder to everybody that, again, like, none of these games matter, right? Like, the 36ers, we can talk about. I mean, how much time do you want to talk about the 36ers game?
You know what? I didn't get to watch it. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I've seen highlights. Actually, I got to rewatch it the next day, probably about the first or second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not as bad as people are saying. I mean, I feel like the first unit was they're all right. There was no defense played at all.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of those 3-pointers that the 36ers were hitting were just hands in their face. Like, they were just lights
they were well
out shooting,
contested.
man. Yeah. So it wasn't anything the Suns were really doing defensively, but even if you want to go there, it's not like anybody was really playing defense.
Mm-mm.
So it was just a feel out game. Good for them. They got the attention, the national attention that they needed. Who was the player? And I already forgot who was the player that actually got 10 teams hit him up like after that game looking for like some
Williams
kind of
I don't even know.
Yeah, I forget, but it's good for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Suns lost, and it's gonna suck because of the way we lost game 7.
Well, that's the thing,
if
right?
we roll into this season, we lose that game, it's gonna look bad. And now, you know what? Everyone hates the Suns. The national media will be all over the Suns' ass all year long. Any kind of loss, even preseason, like LeBron, anything LeBron does, now that anything the Suns do, it's going to be one of those things where it's like we're going to have to hear about it the next day until the next game is played.
Yeah, and people are rooting actively against the Suns. And to your point, like, the last memory anyone had of the Suns was a miserable one for all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the first opportunity for them to kind of be in the national media again was Sarver. Okay, and then it was Jay Crowder wants to go, and then they lose to the 36ers. So, like, I get all the little narratives and the narratives that people are trying to form. But at the end of the day, you look at I really look at Sunday's game and I look at this game and I go, these are games where you're literally just trying to get your feet underneath you, right? Like, it's like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the regular NFL season now because no one plays in the preseason. Like, you don't know who anybody is in the NFL right now because they're just in conditioning mode. So, like, they're not going to go at it as hard. They're not going to even defensively. Like, you spend a lot of energy playing defense. What's the point of expending so much energy defensively if it doesn't fucking matter? What you need to work on is kind of your conditioning, getting yourself ready on some offensive sets, and just kind of getting to know who some of the new guys are on your team. You're like, oh, is that Ricky Rubio? Oh, no, it's Dwayne Washington Jr. Okay, I got to remember that, like, so it's interesting to see how some people get frustrated and overreact to a lot of the things that happen in the preseason. Now, that being said, there's still things that are of note. There's still some things that I want to see. Like what I saw in the 36ers game from Mikal Bridges and from DeAndre Ayton was like, it appeared that they had leveled up a little bit, right? Yeah. Like DA was a lot more aggressive. Mikal Bridges he was a beast. He had, a lot of ball management, taking the ball out of CP3's hands, attacking the cylinder, getting to the rim. He on both ends of the floor, he looked great. Tonight, not so much, So, I mean, it's like, again, you can't take too much weight with that. But is there anything else you want to talk about on the 36ers before we get into some of the things that we saw here on the game against the Lakers?
No, just the way DA did look in those lanes. The lanes are so wide open for him. I mean, you'll never see that again, I don't think, the whole rest of the season. But he executed really well with Chris Paul on the pick and roll. It looked really, really good, but you can't really buy into it too much because they let him do a lot. Like, the lanes were so wide open, man. He even had a couple dunks. It's like, those are things you didn't see last year at all. I'm like, oh, this is nice. These might be the new moves, going up in the air, taking his time, floating in the air, making sure he has a good angle before he releases a shot. Aiden was doing things like that, but he had the time. He was bigger than a lot of those dudes. So, I mean, that team they had some good size, but they're not going to contest with Aiden, I don't think. No. But that's really about it, man. I don't know. It was crazy the whole thing after it. It's just, I was kind of glad
I just didn't pay attention to it, honestly. Like, wrote a couple things for Brightside. I pretty much just said that right at the front end of them. I'm just like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm more focused on trying to understand what this team's going to look like and how their roster substitutions and their substitution patterns overall are just going to be, because that through the first 2 months of the season, injuries aside, Monty Williams is going to be testing different things and seeing what kind of combinations equate to winning basketball for this team. So I just want to kind of see, like, who is like, there's going to be a guy this season that we know he shouldn't play, and he'll play just a little too much because he does that every year. Like, every year there's that one guy. There's always the Abdul Nader, the Elie Okobo of the team. I'm just trying to figure out who that is, and you're not going to find that out in the first 2 games. As I mentioned, there's going to be conditioning things, but let's look at this game. Okay. We got, we're going to look at it through the eyes of, okay, the game itself, knowing that you're not going to take a lot away from this game. But you did see the Phoenix Suns come out and play a little bit, I wouldn't say as aggressive as the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are an interior team, right? They're not gonna shoot lights out from beyond the arc. They came out, they scored 35 points to the Suns 28 in the first quarter, and a lot of that was on the back of a hot LeBron and Russell Westbrook hitting threes, which is shocking as shit, and driving to the lane.
Yeah, and nothing really stood out. It seemed like a lot of last year. It looked like the same exact team of last year. Because at the media day, we heard a lot about, these young guys. They have a lot they improved on. And I think you actually saw it with Mikal the most. Nothing stuck out more than Mikal in his offensive game. I don't know if he looks bigger. His shoulders might look bigger. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just playing a trick on my eyes. I feel like his shoulders
look a
little
prescription
bit
there, guy?
Yeah, because he's going up against LeBron too tonight. And like the way that Luka really took care of him in game 7, he's just like, I gotta get a little bit bigger. So he looks a little bit bigger, but I like the way he attacks, man. That's the thing, is like the whole offense looked exactly the same, but the way he attacked the rim was different. A lot of it was just the same shit from last year. So a little disappointing that way, but it's like, what do you want to run plays you're going to be working on in the season? But I don't know. I don't know how much goes into this. I just remember TMT from the Lakers 2 years ago when he took on the Suns and destroyed THT.
Yeah.
And like everyone's about that guy now. LeBron had him re-signed with the Lakers, and it was a big mistake. So I keep thinking about that every time I watch these games.
Watch.
This segment we'll do for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, seriously, man.
I wasn't overly impressed with DeAndre Ayton tonight, and again, like as we've mentioned, you can't take a lot of merit to that. But you were hoping that when he's playing against a guy named Wenyen Gabriel, some guy I've never heard of, because of course Anthony Davis is like, "Whoa, man, I farted today, felt a little funny." They're like, "All right, sit, dude, sit. We don't want you to strain your back."
He has new shorts he wants to wear. He's like, "I just want to wear these. Come on."
Yeah, he's like, "Check this out. How's it look?" We're in Vegas right now. He's like, "I'm hungover. I went out last night. Come on." But I just there were some things about Ayton that we're going to continue to monitor, and we're going to continue to observe, because he's a max center now, right? Like he's a max center. So we want to see some max center things. So, again, the challenge that DeAndre Ayton's always had is just his lack of involvement in the offense. And it's not his fault. It's Chris Paul not getting him the ball, or Devin Booker, like the worst interior passer to DeAndre Ayton ever, like in the history of ever. Like Dwayne Washington can come in off the bench and doing a better interior pass than Devin Booker. And you tweeted that out from the Suns Jam Session Twitter feed. So make sure you follow that at Suns Jam. And you take a look at it, and the interesting thing about DeAndre Ayton is he's coming into this season, he's focused, he's locked in, and then in this game, I just didn't feel like there was a lot of focus or locked in-ness, if that's a word. And again, should there be? Probably not. But at the same time, like you'd rather have him seem more locked in than not, right?
Yeah, I mean, when's the time you work on stuff? And the whole thing last year was like, keep working on things to build up towards the playoffs. That way you're prepared for certain situations. And it is preseason, but I just wanted to see him show the stuff that he was working on. A lot of it was easy in the first game, getting to the rim, doing whatever he wanted. He looked like a good DA in that game. This looked like last year's DA, where it just seemed like the same kind of guy, where he's just like kind of just same moves. It's like a little hesitation,
all away from the basket,
back down, far away from the basket. The little hook shot that wasn't going in. Someone pointed out his shot did look a little flat. There's just things that I noticed that just reminded me of last year, and it is kind of disappointing. It is, because all eyes are on him in a way, and I know no one's playing that hard, but maybe they are.
Well, if they're not playing that hard, it should be easy to score, huh?
Yeah, but maybe they are. I feel like in the first quarter and maybe the whole first half, it just seemed like a game where the starters were kind of going at it in a way. And if you're not going to play hard, you're probably going to hurt yourself. So both teams seemed like they were playing tough. And I wanted to see DA just work on those moves and show us what he was working on this season. You didn't get to see any of it. There was that pass from Booker where it probably was maybe a bad pass to Ayton. But
Ayton didn't roll hard. I mean, he set the screen and just turned around. He didn't roll.
Yeah, he didn't. And there's a few times, like even the fast break that he had with Chris Paul, Chris Paul's like, all right, here comes the alley-oop.
Yeah.
Easy. And Ayton was just slow getting there. It wasn't there. And you could see that Chris Paul was just kind of like, all right, whatever. That's fine. But you don't know how they're really reacting to search in the situation. But all the eyes are on him now this year, no matter if it's preseason or not. So you want to see some stuff. You want to see what he has been working on, and I didn't get to see any of it. And that's why I'm watching these games, because I want to see how he looks.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what
too.
And it doesn't have to be that much, but it can be like one move. It can be, he does a fadeaway all the time. I don't want to see that anymore. The 3-point shot, he shot 2 of them. I think super flat.
Throw some arc on that shit, DA.
Looks nervous.
Yeah, he doesn't have that confidence.
He looks
in the
super
shot
nervous. But there's just something where I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, like, come on, just give me something to be excited about, because he is a different DA where he's just down to in between the lines. That's all that matters. The work in between the lines with him and the teammates. They didn't look in sync. Nothing looked good. But then let's just leave it at that then. And I'll just wait for game 1. It's like, well, he doesn't show up until it matters. It's like, okay, so I have to wait for the playoffs again. Okay. I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I am so sick of this, dude. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of myself. I hate myself for being this way about it. But then what do you want me to do?
I feel you, man. It's like, again, I know you can't take much weight to the preseason, but a positive performance vastly outweighs a negative performance, right? I mean, that's just simple math, and you take a look at tonight, and again, statistically, nothing crazy, but 3 for 12. 3 for 12. Now he was 0 for 1 from 3. I think the other one you're thinking about, he took a shot deep, and it looked like it was behind the college 3-point line there at the T-Mobile Center.
Yeah, I just said 2. I was thinking 2.
But he had 7 points and 8 rebounds, but he was 3 of 12, and that's because the majority of his shots are not towards the rim; they're away from the rim. He's doing a turnaround, and instead of going through a defender, he's trying to finesse Ayton, and that's just Ayton. That's just who and what he is. And to your point, it's like I want to see some progress. I don't want to have to suffer through this all season. Be like, hey, now could be the chance. Year 5. He's turning 25 at the end of the season, so here we go. But at the same time, it's like, I understand he's working on the conditioning. He's trying to get himself back into shape. Obviously, everyone says he's in amazing shape coming in. I'll tell you what I like to see. Their next game against Denver, right? You got the Joker, right? Dude, I want Ayton to shoot every shot from beyond the arc. Build that confidence. Literally, dude, just shoot 20 fucking threes. It's a preseason game. Who gives a shit, right? Shoot 20 threes. Just start to get, feel it out. Just, like throw a curveball at us. Because you know what that tells me? That says, hey, I'm trying to work on something. I'm trying to accomplish something. I'm trying to gain something from these games. I'm not just going out there and be like, well, none of these count, so I'm just going to half-ass it. You're trying to work on something. Because if he's working on anything tonight, offensively, it just wasn't there. Defensively, he looks fine and great. DA's still got the long wingspan. He's got the lateral quickness. He's got the shot deterrence and the block, ability, if you will. So I like everything that I see from DA, and that's why I've always liked DA, because I like defense. And when he was a rookie and he didn't have that defense, he was more of an offensive-minded player because they were more DA-centric team at that time. I was fine with that, but I wanted more defense from him, because you see too often players like him get played off the court. Well, defensively, you can't play this guy off the court. We've yet to see that. But, man, it'd be nice to see if he worked on some offensive shit this offseason.
Yeah, if we go into the season, he's not a centerpiece game to game, like at least a second option or third option every game.
He could be, though. That's the thing. It's like, I
don't want to do this where we're just waiting for it, and then we're just saying, like, it can be there. It's like, no, the time is now. Like, that's why, like, the first game, he was so quick to move on those the screen and rolls with Chris Paul. He looked really fucking good. I was like, oh, dude,
so that's why you can't take much merit into this game, right?
Like, yeah, so that's what. But I don't want to deal with that either. I want it to be a consistent thing. I don't want it to be 25
points a game.
We want 64
that's too much
games.
to ask for.
Yeah, but we want 64 games, but we still need Ayton to be just more dominant. But because of the postseason, that's the only reason. But we'll see what happens. I can't wait.
We'll see. Oh, God, here it is. Our first post-game pod of the preseason. We're already frustrated with Ayton. Like, you know why? It's because we're Suns fans. That's just what we are. So obviously the big news, the only thing that does matter coming out of this one, is Cam Johnson left the game early in the first quarter after a sprained right finger on his shooting hand. And then Cameron Payne played 1 minute and 17 seconds, and he got a sprained finger on his shooting hand. That's the big thing, is like, now we need to get Cam Reddish, right? Because we don't have any cams. We're out of cams. Like, what are we going to do? And that's the frustrating thing, because again, going into this preseason game, two of the major things I'm looking for in this preseason, I want to see how Cameron Johnson's integrated into this first team offense, because we know we're going to be watching the bench and seeing how they're allocating his vacated minutes and see if there's any production from that. And although Cameron Payne scored 23 points against the 36ers, he wasn't much of a distributor, and the secondary offense from the Phoenix Suns faltered because they didn't have somebody running the offense. Now, granted, like knowing that Cameron Payne is somebody who is a score first kind of guard, and knowing that you have a bunch of miscellaneous pieces being put out there, that's not the final second team unit. But still, like, you'd like to see, again, an opportunity for Cameron Payne is to become more of a facilitator, still have the ability to score, but facilitate a little bit more. But knowing that they both got injured in this game against the Lakers, that sucks.
Yeah, the part that sucks is like Cameron Johnson is just missing all of a sudden. And I'm like, wait, where's he at? And then you hear he's hurt. That's the worst part about the NBA, that watching this is like all of a sudden your player will be gone. Sometimes you don't see the injury. Cameron Payne, we saw him because he was like holding his hand. At least I did. That's how I noticed.
Yeah.
He was just holding his hand. I'm like, oh, what happened? Who cares? Like I'm rooting for Cameron Payne, but like I don't give a fuck right now. Like I just don't. I don't want the insecurity of him being our backup point guard or whatever.
We're so negative, man.
No.
We're so fucking negative.
No, I know.
We're such Suns. Hey, you can tell this is a Suns fans podcast because we're just like,
I'm joking. Of course I care. I want Cameron Payne to do well.
But I don't think he's going to. That's my problem personally. I don't have faith in Cam Payne.
Deep down inside, if we just think like, hey, like it's not going to work with him as our backup point guard.
Like bubble / 2021 playoff campaign was such an aberration. And it was a great thing to see. And I mean, the way he got the crowd, but like we saw it last season, like it's not sustainable what he does. He takes those very awkward, and the angles on his layups are very hard to consistently make. There's a reason why not a lot of people do them. He's got one of the ugliest looking 3-pointers in the league. And it's just offensively, I have a lot of challenge with him. I love he's one of the few guys on our team who's a dog, right? Like a dog, like losing Jay Crowder, you lose a dog. Did you listen to Bill Simmons today?
No, because I was sick today, but I got to catch up. I'm sure they talk about the Suns.
Well, no, but one thing that he had Zach Lowe on, and Zach Lowe was talking about how somebody got who was it? Somebody got somebody on their team, and he's like, "That's a good, like fuck shit up guy." Like that's what Cam Payne can be, as a fuck shit up guy, and that's what Jay Crowder can be, as a fuck shit up guy. They're our Pat Bevs. They're the energy bringers, right? But if you're not being productive, and Cam Payne, you see it all over his face when he's not playing well, is his head's down and things like that. But obviously I've diverted from the topic that we're not going to see that potentially. We got to see what the severity of the injuries are to him. It sucks that they're on the shooting hands of both these guys. And again, I think that throws a huge wrinkle into everything that the Suns want to do, considering the fact that they don't have Jay Crowder.
Yep. And really quick though, Shamet did look good playing the points.
Well, I was going to bring up Shamet in this next segment because, finally we got a little, just a little reprieve, if you will. Obviously last season was a challenge for our bud, but
all I can say is, Sham, wow.
We take a look at what Landry Shamet did tonight. He played 28 minutes. He went 6 for 11 from the field, 5 of 7 from deep, had 21 points, which was the second highest score on the team behind Devin Booker, who went 7 for 20. Devin was not very efficient tonight, but he did hit some nice shots. He was a plus 12. He had a couple assists, couple rebounds, but Landry Shamet, again, it's one game. Just like we're kind of down on DA, I can't get too high on Shamet because, again, none of it fucking matters. But it was nice to see it.
It was. I mean, he was actually taking his own shots. A lot of his stuff last year was like the catch and shoot, where he would just like find himself and just jack it up. He was just a chucker last year. Tonight, he was just finding his own shot. He had this nice step back 3. I mean, it was something where I didn't see last year. I'm like, oh, this is him as point. I mean, he's not really a guy that can facilitate as well, but him finding his own shot was something different. It was something that I'd like to see. It was cool. And it's just good to see him get into preseason or not. And we're going to say that for the next 2 games.
I know.
But it was just nice. It was just nice to see him in that groove, man. That's the Shamet that we all want, I guess, playing the second unit. And if we have that and there's something wrong with Payne, it'd be nice just to have him as a backup point guard, just to play point. not to really facilitate, but to be that guy that can come in and get some points.
Well, and I think that that's the advantage that the Suns have, and it's something that I called for a lot last year. Obviously when Cameron Payne was hurt, and we didn't see very much of it, was giving Shamet some more responsibility as a facilitator, because that's what he did. Where did he go? Wichita State. Wherever he went to college, he spent a lot of time as a point guard. He developed into a 2 guard in the NBA because that's the role that was kind of designated to him after being with the Clippers and the Sixers and the Nets and whatnot. So that's what he's become. But, in the interim, until Cameron Payne's back, and it could be, our next game is until next Monday. It's on the 10th. So we got time. So it might just be something where, maybe Cam Johnson broke a nail. And they're like, dude, take the rest. It's a preseason game. It doesn't fucking count. Take the rest of the time off.
So is this the way it's going to be this season? He's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, right?
We're betting on you this year, man. Don't get hurt.
We need you, Cam Johnson. But Landry Shamet, I think, could really do. I'd like to see him kind of get a little bit more minutes, and that's what we'll probably see in the next couple preseason games. Just a couple more minutes facilitating the offense, give him an opportunity, because maybe that's something that he could really grow into, and maybe he can earn our hearts, because we want to love him so bad. Don't we? We want to love Landry so bad.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
you set me up for something?
No, I'm just saying,
like
I want to love Landry.
We do, especially the story about him and his family and all that. Oh, damn, dude. Him having a hard time with them and his missing family and stuff like that. So if that's something if that's an excuse, people don't give a shit about what you're going through in life. They just want you to perform at the workplace. That's all that matters, unfortunately. So we'll see how he plays this year, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's good things for Landry, because I think that there's a lot of untapped potential there. And you look at every time somebody utilizes the trade machine, boom, Landry's part of that conversation, because he's lost the trust of a lot of us as fans because he just was inconsistent. And when he has those great games, man, that team just looks so much better when Landry can provide that offensive scoring threat from the bench. Because again, you lose Cam Johnson from that score from the second team unit. Somebody's got to provide that points. That Cam was averaging 13 to 15 points coming off the bench. It's somebody's got to make up for that void, and it could be Landry Shamet. Another guy who got some time playing with the second team unit in some very interesting lineups, because the Suns, let's face it, tonight they were forced into some interesting lineups, but it was nice to see this guy again.
The Saric smoke break.
Dario Saric is back, baby.
He's back.
Big ass around.
Yeah,
I like a little to win a preseason game.
Keeping it proportionate too, with the little bun, the little hair bun, and the big butt.
Oh,
it's it kind of throws off the proportion a little bit, but I don't know. What am I talking? Who cares? He looks awesome.
It was nice to see him back. It's been since game 1 of the 2021 NBA Finals, and I know the whole team's rooting for him. And again, it was interesting because the Phoenix Suns came out to start the third quarter, and they had their starters out there with Dario running the 4. And I thought that was just an interesting wrinkle. Again, it's probably nothing, knowing that, whatever's going to go happen moving forward with Cameron Johnson. But that's a possibility that now exists. And I think it's something that, again, we're talking about different ways that Monty Williams can take the ball out of Chris Paul's hand, not tax him as much physically on offense. Dario's a great connector out there. Taking into the account that he was down there fighting for those rebounds at the end of the game, just like he always does. One guy goes down, I forget who it was, probably Dwayne Bacon, goes down, and he's like, oh, I got hit in the face. And they show the replay. It was his own player through a bow. Everyone, and I like it because they didn't call the foul on Dario. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
is this a new because normally anytime anything that happens in the paint, they just blow the whistle and they go, it's fucking the man bun, dude. It's got to be Dario. you see the badunk on that dude. Clearly there's a foul. He hit somebody in the thigh with that thing.
Yeah, I don't know, what you do when that thing's in front of you, but he has respect now.
Bounce off it.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you look
when
at
it, bounce back.
Dude, it's so nice to see him hitting the corner threes too. You're talking about spacing. Usually, I feel like this season, I thought the Suns would be just one of those teams where it's you have Dario, Jacques Landale. Those two guys, would they just play a 5, small ball 5?
They ran some of those lineups tonight.
They did, but Dario looked pretty good with Jacques in there. There was some spacing issues a little bit. Dario can get out there. He can hit the threes, and it's nice. I think his 3 I hope his percentage goes up because it was a thing in the past where, I mean, he can't even make a layup either, but it's a thing in the past where his 3-point percentage is not that great, right? He still jacks them up there, he clanks them. So he's had a lot of time off to work on his shot. And I think that's one thing. If he can get that to like 37 to 40%, wouldn't that be crazy? Dude, I think that's a little bit too much to ask. Watch, he's actually probably shooting that. I'm just being a dick. I don't think he's shooting that high. I actually didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure he's like a 32 or something.
Well, one thing we'll do before the season begins is we're going to have a podcast that's kind of like a season preview, right? And again, it sucks you didn't listen to the Bill Simmons podcast because I'm totally stealing the idea that they were utilizing today on the podcast. You know, they what the fuck was the phrase they used? Well, we have a good one though, and that's something that we can, talk about. It's like, okay, what's Dario's 3-point percentage going to be? It's like it's 30, yeah, but it's like 38.5% too much to ask. Because if we can get something like that from Dario this season, know that he's going to provide a defensive irritant. Because that ass is an irritant, man. Throw that thing around on defense, and then offensively he can spread the floor a little bit, play that small ball 5, play a good 4. He's not going to bring the defensive effort that Jay Crowder obviously brings, right? Because Jay can defend the perimeter. Dario can't defend the perimeter, right? So, but on certain matchups, I think that he's going to be someone who's going to be very interesting to watch this year, and it's going to be interesting to see how Monty deploys him. Monty tried a bunch of different things. What I found very interesting is, like, you look at the final box score, and Dario Saric only played a total of 7 minutes and 38 seconds. He had, 14 points? Am I reading that right? No, 5 points. He had 5 points. And he hit those free throws at the very end of the game, which were massive for the team. And I felt like he was in there a lot longer. It's like he was really he was in there till like the bitter end. And that's where he got the majority of his minutes. I felt like he was in there like 6 different times.
Yeah, I feel calm with
Dario effect.
I came up with this thing last night. I was thinking, I'm like, the quarterbacks that usually win like the Super Bowl, they're usually calm. Because I was talking about how Dak is just so sporadic, and we have this guy in there right now. Not to go on a little tangent, like just
Cooper Rush, man.
Cooper Rush is just kind of calm, and the whole team's good. You see the calm leader. Dak is always just so sporadic, and anytime it gets into any situations in the playoffs where you need something to happen, like he's just too crazy. It's like, chill out. You're stressing everybody out. Dario's a calm guy. He's one of the nicest guys in the NBA, right? That's the thing. He's super nice, but like on the court, he takes his time. He's calm. Like he can only go one speed. Obviously, that's why he takes his time. But he's that guy, like kind of like a Chris Paul, I guess, in a way. But I just feel like when times get like really tough, he can just be a guy. It's like, oh, Dario's on the court. Like you can look over to him, just feel good that he's there. That's the way Dario is. Man. I feel good.
He's like, we good. And my bad, he had 12 points. Maybe Dario, like so Michael Bay in the chat, he says Sativia time. Dario Sativia Saric, man. He just calms you out, man.
Sativa?
Yeah, Code just said it. Are we sure? That was the phrase from the podcast. It's like, are we sure that Dario Saric can't shoot 38%? And then we talk about it. So we're gonna have a bunch of that'll be the pod. Okay. I'm gonna and Dave King, if you're listening, I'll ask and see if you want to come on, because I think it'd be fun, because like you and I go on these tangents, and Dave is like just like the voice of reason. He's like,
he's a calm presence, huh?
Yeah, he's just like, no, there's no fucking way he shoots 38.5%. So you guys stop drinking while you're doing these things and be serious. I'll tell you another guy who obviously looked good. He looked great with Dario out there. He looked great with everybody out there. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a new drop for you.
Jesus, this is a nice limo.
Yes, it is. Now suck my
Jack Landale.
It's even better in person, man. I saw it all over Twitter, but now in person, I love it.
I'm very, very proud of that one, and I'm a child.
It's so good. And it's funny because that was one of the funniest movies, and I have to rewatch that.
It's so funny. Anything by Trey Parker, Matt Stone is money. That's from Team America, World Police, which is so funny. And like I was drinking the other night, and I was watching the Aussie Suns fans podcast, and check out their pod.
You were drinking?
Yeah, I was having a few beers, just sitting there, and I was just like in the chat, and I was listening to them talk about some things, and I just started coming up with different names for drops, and that's what I did, like literally the whole podcast, and I was like, now suck my jack. I'm like, that's the winner. Like I saw the drop in my head, and I'm just like, all right, sweet. So But speaking of Jock Landale, I mean, absolutely stellar performance again tonight. 23 total minutes played. He was 6 of 9 from the field, including 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. He had 16 points, led the team with a plus 23, and had 8 rebounds, including 3 on the glass, a couple assists. I mean, he's kind of doing a little bit of everything. And the thing that I really appreciated, and I tweeted this out, was all of his screens were Jock solid. Like, he's not just a passive screener. He'll sit there and he'll throw a little shoulder into the chest of the opposition, truly knock them off their spot. And it was nice to see. He did one to Pat Bev, who was annoying as shit tonight because that's what he does. And it was nice to see Pat Bev. Pat Bev act like he got shot. Like Lee Harvey Oswald got him. And it was beautiful to see because it's like physicality, the ability to shoot the ball from deep, the ability to go grab some offensive rebounds, the ability to grab a rebound and put it right back up and score points. Like, it's a bunch of little things that he's doing very well in his first preseason game. And again, like, you have to back the car up a little bit and be like, well, it really doesn't matter, see? Because it's the preseason. But, like, I'd rather see this kind of performance, obviously, than falling away and playing like shit like Ayton did.
Well, he only has, and Jock only has one way to play, and that's just, like, all out. Like, you can't, like I'm saying, like, you can't, it's not like football.
That's a fuck shit up guy.
Yeah, that's a dude where he just finds himself in the middle under the basket, like almost every shot. He's down there. He positions himself so well. It's so quick. It's always like, like you said, like those screens are solid, but he's so quick to get back down and have good position and get the rebound. He's always a guy who's going to tip it back out. There was that one play from the first game where I guess they got 4 threes. They missed them all, but he got all the rebounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's that guy, and that's exactly what the Suns need. And it is a toughness. It's like everything I thought about him. I didn't really watch him with the Spurs. Everything I thought that he might be for the Suns, he is. He's the hustle. He's the intense player that they need down there, down low. He'll shoot the 3. It's just, he's a phenomenal player to watch. He's an awesome guy to have on your team. Oh, I think we're going to be really blessed to have
favorite,
him.
dude. Fan favorite.
He already
we'll
is.
We'll have to get the Aussies on here to talk about him too, because it's like, then you even add a little bit of the accent in there, and obviously they know who this guy is and they're passionate about it too, and those are good guys over there. So I think that'd be really fun to get them on kind of throughout the season, see if they can come on and share their thoughts on him, because I think that he's just, I'm excited for him. Again, like I hate the fact that he wears number 11 because it's like the Abdul Nader. Like, I still have some Abdul Nader and PTSD. I'm like, dude, we should retire 11, man.
It's an ugly number, man.
That was Ricky Rubio's number, man. Like, just put it in the rafters already.
I just don't like the number, though. Even like the Cowboys linebacker, Micah Parsons, the number 11.
That's
just looks
right.
stupid.
Larry Fitzgerald, number 11.
Yeah. No, it looks good for a receiver, though.
Yeah, it does look good on receiver. But linebacker, GTFO. But a lot of nice, we'll continue to monitor how Monty uses him, right? Because he had him playing out there with Dario. So it's like you said, the spacing issue. Like, well, who's the 4 here? Who's the 5? I'd like to see him get some minutes with the starting crew just for fun, like maybe some of that shit will rub off on DA, some aggressiveness.
See, here we go again.
I'm sorry.
No. It's not you, but that's what everyone's probably thinking. I thought it tonight too. I'm like, this aggressiveness.
Not the Ayton stands, dude. The Ayton stands are stroking themselves in the dark somewhere. There's like, I still love you, DA. Like,
well,
it's just,
we all love DA, but that's why we love him.
We do.
All right, because he's a number 1 pick. And look at this guy, Wembanyama coming out. Coming out. That's a number 1 pick. Luka Doncic is a number 1 pick. Like, these guys that come out in the NBA, they're number 1 picks. You expect them to be number 1 picks.
Yeah,
that's why we're in. Here we go.
Franchise changing.
We just want him to do well.
Changing.
Yes.
God, the Ain't fans are gonna come for us. Oh well, it's gonna be a long season, boy.
No, this is the season where I don't care. On that pass to him, it might have been a bad pass, but grab that pass and go dunk that shit.
Yeah, please, dear God. But again, I'm really, really excited for what we saw from Jock. One thing that I was kind of disappointed in tonight, and tell me if you were at all, 16 minutes from Ish Wainwright. I was hoping to see a little bit more just production from Ish, engagement. He's only 0 for 2 from the field. Both of those were deep. He was a plus 21 because he was in there in the fourth quarter where the Suns outscored the Lakers by 8. A couple rebounds. I don't know. I really have high hopes for Ish. I'm really coming to the season, especially knowing that there's a lot of that backup 4 that's wide open, and like Ish Wainwright isn't playing himself into that spot. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's crazy to watch it or see that he played 16 and Dario only played the 7.
Yeah, I know. It feels flipped, right?
It does. Yeah.
Like, I just looked at it was 16. I was like, dude, I thought he was out there for like the last 5 minutes of the game, and that was it. Like, he pulled a Torrey Craig tonight. Like,
he wasn't noticeable.
He wasn't there.
Yeah. No, he wasn't. But it's a thing where Ish will be a guy where it's not going to be consistent, and I don't think we expect that. right? I mean, for the backup center, even last year we talked about Bismack, where it was inconsistent, but it's fine. Same thing with McGee. But Ish is going to be the same kind of player where it's going to have those good nights, but he's going to show up. He's going to play hard every night. That's what we want from him. That's all I'm looking for with him.
I hear you, and it's interesting. Code in the chat says unpopular opinion, but I'm done with Ish Wainwright. And I wouldn't say it's an unpopular opinion because it's hard because he hasn't really given us much of a reason to be super jazzed about him. I just think that he has a physicality to him and kind of
there's something there, right?
There's something there, and I just want to see a little bit more of it. The other side of that argument, and maybe what Code is referencing, is the fact that like he's 27 years old. Like this guy, he's kind of hit his peak, and what his peak is somebody who can come in and play mop-up duty. I just think that we have a need, and I think that he could potentially fill that need, and I want him to fill that need because the only other guy out there who potentially could fill that need.
What's up?
Juice, man. Torrey Craig, who we got to come up with a new nickname for Torrey Craig this season because he's no longer the Juice. We gave him the nickname the Juice back when he was first acquired from the Pacers 2 seasons ago because that's what he brought in from off the bench, right? He brought the juice. And, part of the recap, I wrote the recap for Brightside tonight, and he got some minutes with the starters as well, seeing as Cameron Johnson was injured. I go, maybe that is the perfect role for Torrey Craig, right? Like, being the starting 4, although he lacks the size, but I mean, who on the Phoenix Suns has the size to play as starting 4 and be a good wing defender in the NBA these days? Cameron Johnson is our best bet. But if Cam Johnson isn't feeling well, or like, would you ever consider Torrey Craig over Cameron Johnson, knowing that he would come in, he could focus on defense, he doesn't need to be an offensive guy, and he could just jack up a couple threes. He could be like a very, very, very poor man's Jay Crowder. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's weird with this guy because I feel like the thing that hurt Cameron Johnson last year, he was hurt last year a little bit, but what actually hurt him, I feel like, is in and out of the lineup, starting to the bench, back and forth. I feel like that can kind of hurt Craig in that way too, where he just needs his role. He needs his role to be that pesky guy to fill the holes on offense and defense, like he was tonight, where he was just in there kind of batting the ball like Jock Landale style.
And that was good.
A little bit. That's good stuff.
He looked better in that role tonight.
He did. And like, that just needs to be something where that needs to continually happen. I know he started in the second half, he started with the first unit. So that might throw him off a little bit, but I think playing with those guys, he might be more comfortable. I think the whole second unit thing is just kind of off right now. So you're going to see kind of like his kind of game where it's just kind of, I feel like
discombobulated.
I think he likes the mess, and I think he can thrive in that in a way, right? Where he can just do his own shit. So that's why I think tonight he looked pretty decent. I mean, it was like his best game really he had since he came back with the Suns. And it's a preseason game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's sad that statement alone is sad for Torrey Craig. Only 15 minutes played, but he was 3 of 6 from the field. He had the 6 points, 7 rebounds. And that's where I want to see Torrey Craig improve, is the rebounding, because that's what you need from him. Right. And that's the thing we didn't see last year. It's like he's coming in. He was essentially coming in as your 3. He was backing up Mikal Bridges, and he wasn't scoring any points. He wasn't grabbing any boards. He wasn't really making an impact on offense or defense. And that's what we kind of need to see from him. So Code just said, Craig is a Capri Sun now. So if we were to define the kind of juice he is, he's a Capri Sun. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a nickname for him, because I don't think he's earned the juice anymore, man. I mean, do you?
We'll see. Let's see. Maybe it's one of those things where we'll see if he can keep it, because he might.
Okay.
We can't just take it away and then all of a sudden he is like, that would be.
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
That's true,
I got to suck my jock on here, man. Like if I still have a job tomorrow, I'm going to be impressed. Hope no one from corporate's watching.
The Warden.
A couple of our listeners who are watching along live on YouTube have brought up the Warden, Mikal Bridges. And reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. Helps the algorithms. Lets everybody know we're the best post-game podcast on Planet Oranges. As I mentioned, against the 36ers, looked really, really, really good. Against the Lakers, not so much, 1 for 8 from the field, as I mentioned. 4 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, couple turnovers, and 6 personal fouls. And a lot of those weren't personal fouls. And I'm not even going to get into fucking refereeing in the preseason, because you want to talk about something that really doesn't fucking matter. It's that. But still, like, I'm really excited for Mikal Bridges this year, man. I'm really excited. Like, I'm thinking next level. It's funny. If you go to, like, Just Sports, shopjustsports.com, where they have the Sunburst jerseys. Use promo code SunsJam for 15% off. But they have sold out of the Mikal Bridges Sunburst jersey. It was the first one to go, as well it should. It's a sexy looking jersey. And like, we all have high expectations for him. So again, preseason doesn't really matter. He had some bullshit fouls called on him, yada, yada, yada. But he wasn't nearly as aggressive offensively as he was against the 36ers. He wasn't initiating the offense, just going to the rim. And the couple times he did, kind of got stuffed. I mean, LeBron James stuffed him a couple times, man. And it's hard to believe that LeBron James is, 38 out there? He looked fucking good.
Yeah, he looked great. I love his like little layups, and then he runs, he hustles all the way back down. Good to see him get back on defense. I love it. Like, usually we don't see
what
that
a
as
concept.
much.
Yeah, he's doing it in the preseason.
Exactly. And I think the whole mental game with Mikal is going to be huge this year. Like, because the matchup with Luka is something I think he's going to think about a lot. He's always going to think about that ceiling. The one guy, just the one guy that got away, kind of in a way. He wants to kind of get back to that situation where he can prove himself as the best defender, almost defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
But he wants to prove himself. Like, hey, I could take these guys on. I could take on LeBron. I could be a pest. But it's going to be hard for him mentally to get past that, I think, until the challenge actually happens. And I think it's going to take till midseason form to where he really is just really dominant. I think it's going to take a lot for him. But offensively, I know you said he wasn't very aggressive, but I still like the way he goes straight to the rim.
He just
seems like he's floating above the defenders down there. Like, he just knows his way to the rim. Before, it would kind of be to the outside, or he would like always go across the paint and do little fadeaways. These are straight to the rim, and I love that. And Cameron Johnson was kind of doing it too last game. So maybe he was worried that Cam, his, what do they call them? The sisters or the twins?
The sisters.
The twins. Yeah. Maybe he was worried about his twin being hurt. He's like,
oh no,
come
his
on.
fingernail. Oh.
Yeah, I need you on the other side of me, on the other side of the paint, on the perimeter. We need to be together, us and DA. It's throwing everything off. Maybe that's what it was. I just think that the defensive thing, man, that's his thing. And if it's going to be something where he gets shit on now because the Suns are that way, they're always going to get shit on. And if he's not playing good defense, we'll see how that takes a toll on him mentally. But I think he seems like a guy that can handle it this season.
I think so too. And again, that's why I'm excited for him. And again, that's why I'm not taking too much merit. As low as I am on DA, as high as I am on Jock Landale after the first couple preseason games, it's the same with Mikal Bridges. None of it fucking matters. So
yeah.
Again, it's just he could have committed 6 fouls, 4 of them being real and 2 of them being bullshit, just because he wanted to sit down. Maybe he went out in Vegas last night, or he wants to go out to Vegas. He's like, dude, I'm going to foul some guys, get the fuck out of here. Okay? Because I go, we don't play until fucking Monday. So I'm going to have myself a weekend. Shout out to Zona Hoops. He tweeted this out. He said, embarrassing loss for the Lakers. The Adelaide 36ers laid out the blueprint on how to beat the Suns, and they failed. All they had to do was simply shoot 56% from 3-point range on 40-plus attempts. Tisk, tisk, tisk. That's kind of funny. It just, again, it puts it all in perspective. What did they say? Like, the Lakers haven't won a preseason game in like 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, the teams that go undefeated in preseason are like
the Ravens.
Like the Lions did that one year. They went undefeated and they lost every game.
They went
0-16.
Yeah, it just reminds you. Like,
yeah.
We're here. We have a podcast. We're getting back in our rhythm. We're trying to just try out some new drops and get back into the rhythm of doing our own post-game podcast. And we know that the preseason's all bullshit, but still, it's fun to talk about, man. It's fun to talk about fucking basketball. It was fun to write a recap about basketball and not sit there, and let it be July and be like, let's talk about, Ed Neely, old Ed Neely, because that's boring.
Really quick, that pass to DA that I posted.
Yeah.
Was that a bad pass? I feel like
DA didn't roll hard, but it was also a bad
pass.
He
but
didn't
I thought
bounce
it. I thought it would have been nice for him to take that and do something with it.
It would have if he would have got to it, but it was a bad pass to begin with. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go to the Suns Jam
go
Twitter.
look at it.
Matthew posted
Everyone's
during
saying
the
it's
game.
a bad pass, and everyone's saying, keep nitpicking DA, and I absolutely will.
Oh yeah, well I thought
he could have grabbed that and went to the rim,
and everybody rode me hard. They're like, "Come on, man, it's the preseason. Oh, there you are overreacting to the preseason." It's like,
I think DA could.
Dude, he's not going to the rim. Like, here we are again. Talking about
it's all right. And we can't apologize for being negative, for being positive. I'm sick of doing that shit. It's like, oh, here we are negative about the Suns. It's like, dude, all we do is talk about the Suns.
That's what
of course, it's positive. It's a relationship, man. It's always gonna be negative and positive.
Yeah, until they win a championship, then it'll forever be positive. And when they win a championship, we'll stop doing the pod.
Until the next year.
Yeah,
We'll
retire on top, man.
We'll
We'll,
retire.
we'll
Yeah.
do what Brady should have done.
Yeah.
Does it have no
Oops.
audio? There's no audio on that, is there?
Oh shit!
Huh.
Is that the new drop?
Yeah, that's the new drop, but it's got no audio.
That could be the new audio. It's just us
there
talking
it is.
through.
It's just us talking through. Well, let's see. I think I have the old drop.
Big Dick Booker.
How did I fuck that up? Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm starting to put together all the new drops, but Devin Booker tonight, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, 7 of 20 from the field, 22 total points to lead all Phoenix Suns in scoring. I love Devin Booker, man. I know it wasn't a great shooting night, but like guys on the cover at 2K, like he's just a beast, man. I fucking love him.
He can't pass the ball, but honestly, the thing tonight,
not to DA. He can pass it to everybody but DA. And here we are again talking about DA.
No, but dude, I think that the one thing that he improved on was actually the transition three. I feel like last year, both of his two threes he made, or what he made 3 threes. Yeah, 3 threes tonight. 2 of them were on the transition where he's stepping into it, where he's bringing the ball up. He just steps right into it. Before, he's always clanked those on the back of the off the back of the rim. Those went in nice.
Yeah,
that's nice because that can be his shot. That can be like his Steve Nash shot. Steve Nash does it all the time.
That's the next level for D Book, is to hit that, because I mean he starts hit. Imagine if he could like hit a 3 in a 2-for-1 situation. Next level,
exactly.
Dude. He hits all those. Next thing you know, he's averaging 31 points a game.
Yeah.
That's all he is. It's that simple. It's math.
Dude, yeah, he's awesome. It's awesome to have him out there missing shots, but they look good. Like they look like good possessions. And I can't wait to get back to the point where he's just like so feared to be on the court. Like tonight, it's like he's on the court. But like he's just that guy now where when he's on the court, he's gonna stand out like the rest of the superstars.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, the nice thing, listen to the broadcast today, which was kind of interesting because it was Laker guys on NBA TV. They're talking about how Devin Booker, first team All NBA-er. And like that's where it really hits you. It's like yeah, man, he's first team All NBA. That's fucking fantastic. It's huge.
And of course, they're gonna talk about it where Luka was, he didn't have a good season, but those are the two guys, him and John Morant. He needs to be over this year, and he can be. But it's funny when you see the thing about the GM survey where Luka's like listed on every position, basically.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. But
position
Booker is the number one shooting guard, dying position. I feel like in the NBA,
100%.
Shooting guard.
It's like him and like James Harden. I'm like, isn't he a point guard though?
Yeah,
a true
it's
shooting guard. Yeah, those are the
Yeah.
true shooting guards kind of left in the NBA. So, well, let's hand out a little hardware before we get out of here tonight.
Jam star of the game.
This is a reminder, Suns fans, if you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Do us a favor. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. And of course, if you're if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe. Click the little bell notification. Lets you know when we go live, which is after every Phoenix Suns game, with some shows sprinkled in between until the season starts, as we have to do our Suns season preview. We have to finish previewing the Pacific Division. And of course, we have to do our preseason jammies, Matthew. We gotta bust out the tuxedos.
We do.
Yeah.
Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we got, it's the 5th.
Where is it going to be held at this year?
I don't know.
What arena?
I mean, it's post-COVID now, so we can actually go to the Staples. Oh, it's the Crypto.com arena. But I think we should probably do it at like Sun Angel Stadium where they play the baseball.
Okay.
Or
Chuck E. Cheese.
Ooh, Chuck E. Cheese. So we can have like that creepy mouse in the background.
It's probably broken, like always.
Did you see any of my social media posts today about me wearing a Lieberhosen?
No. Oh, wait. No, I did with the two older ladies. Yeah. Stephanie actually sent a text. She's texted Shannon.
Yeah,
she's like, oh, watch them.
We did Oktoberfest at work today, so like we decked out the bar and had and then I got a Lieberhosen. So that was, maybe I'll post a picture of me wearing a Lieberhosen on Twitter.
It's good. It's a good pick.
Oh man, I don't know why. So Jam star of the game. Who dishing out the hardware to?
I'm going with Los Suns. I'm gonna say Jacques because it's just he stood out. And I couldn't wait to see him. And he 2 games in a row where he looked fucking awesome.
A lot of the Jamsters are shouting out Landell as well. They should. Suck my jock for sure. Joe Cush says it. He says he was getting busy. Coach Fallen Founder, one of our elite Jamsters. Coach, I promise you, we're going to get you on here for some post-game pods this season,
No, we're
man.
not.
Okay, apparently we're not. But he says he loves German food and beer, of course. Mike B gives it to Jock. Matthew, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you.
Can I guess?
Ooh,
Sham it.
Coach said sham it. Who's the one guy I would never give the Jam Star of the game to, but I'm going to do it tonight?
DeAndre Ayton.
Nope.
Who?
Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James. LeBron looked nice, man. I'll give it to him.
Do we have to
Jam
mention
Star of
his
the
age
game?
again?
It's a
People get
preseason.
old.
38 years old. LeBron
all
James.
year long. That's the only thing that sucks is
Jock-
watching this greatness
Jock
is you have to
itch.
hear about his age.
I know every time he does, it's
Jock
like, wow, it's like he's got a walker out there. But it's impressive, like he's hitting shit from the like "Welcome to Las Vegas" logo, and
Yeah.
it doesn't count, so therefore I can give it to him because this doesn't
Okay.
count. This podcast
I'm
doesn't
gonna-
count. You're listening to this right
record
now.
this.
It doesn't count.
It's already being recorded. Why is it recorded?
I'm gonna record this. He says.
I want to snip it.
There you go. Oh yeah, you're gonna do it in one of our jam shorts or whatever, like
Yeah.
one of those little doohickeys. What else we got? Next game is going to be on the 10th. That's going to be against the Denver Nuggets. It's another preseason game. Is there anything you're expecting from that next game, or is it just another wash and it doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm excited to watch. It's weird how preseason is actually kind of fun, like just to watch right now. I don't know. I feel like everyone's kind of up for it.
Well, it's because it's basketball. Basketball's back, and like it's been 4 months since we've seen the
been a long
Suns
time.
play. It's been a long time. Obviously, again, it's interesting to see kind of if any of this has any merit. Because I remember, like last preseason, we had a bunch of question marks going to the preseason. We overanalyzed it. Then you go in and it was just completely different. And I know that, from doing these podcasts, I think this is what our 4th season covering the Phoenix Suns.
This is yeah.
Number 4,
this is
right?
our third year doing post game. Yeah.
Yeah, 3rd year doing post game. Fuck, that's crazy. So yeah, it's like I know that you can't take too much merit, but it's just like you said, it's nice watching some basketball. It's nice seeing the guys out there on the court and getting excited, and it's a fun sport to watch, and that's why we love it so much. I was having a conversation with somebody today, and they were talking about how they like basketball, and they're one of my new hires, and they're like, yeah, no, I really like basketball. I'm like, but do you? Like, do you? And then we started having a conversation. I was like, okay, you do. Like, it's nice. Like,
Okay.
because not a lot of people really enjoy the sport like us crazy people who literally after a preseason game will go and listen to or watch a podcast about the preseason game they just watched. Like, we're all fucking crazy people, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So
yeah,
as I
don't
look
be
towards,
apologetic either.
No, I'm so sorry that I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. But I'll tell you, looking at the next game, I'm looking to see just a little bit more physicality and just more conditioning from the team. That's what you want to see. You want to see the conditioning. They all played 22 minutes in the first game. They played about 25, 27 for the starters this game. We'll see probably, about that amount moving forward. And, are we going to pod again this week? I guess is the next question.
Well, Monday night, right?
Well, yeah, Monday,
no?
But that's next week.
Yeah.
It's
Wednesday,
this week, right?
Yeah, we gotta figure out when we're gonna do the jammies.
Yeah, we gotta figure out the jammies. That'll be right before the season starts, but we still got to do the Pacific Division preview. We got to figure that out.
Okay,
so we'll figure something out, Jamsters.
We got a minute right now. We can figure it out.
This is when we do our programming. Is right here live on the show. So, Jamsters, we'll ask you watching along live in the chat. When do you want to see us again? When do you want to get our Pacific Division preview? When do I have to sit down and put together all those fucking graphics? Is the question.
Oh, you didn't do it yet? I thought you would do them all at once.
No. I do them like the day of the show. I'm like, oh crap. I'm like looking up transactions and trying to figure it out and misspelling things. It's fantastic.
Hey, you didn't ask where I'm at right now, dude.
Where are you at right now, dude?
I'm in Jamsterdam.
Oh, what's Jamsterdam? Tell us a little bit about this.
You'll find out. It's close to being done. I'm excited to show you guys.
Okay. Jamsterdam. Okay. Yeah, the CBD must be kicking in for you. So, anything else you want to talk about on this here edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, my friend?
No, I'm excited.
All right.
And that was a bad pass by Book. Sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Love you.
Justified. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're watching or listening to this. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Darth Voida. You can follow Matthew on Twitter.
At Matthew Lissy.
And you can always follow Brooklyn on Twitter. Because look at there's...
Oh,
my dog.
Her head up.
My dog is... She's been sleeping over there. She's like, this motherfucker is still talking about the Suns.
Dude, yeah, she looks exhausted, man.
Yeah, it's just...
She
watched the game. She watched the game. Hey, Brooklyn, what are you doing? She's like, shut up, dude.
She just takes a big shit right now.
Live here on TV. There you go. Oh, no. She's adjusting. Oh,
it's a bear taking the shit.
Does a Brooklyn shit in the woods? Anything you want to say to Brooklyn before we take off?
Go home and love your family, Brooks.